not like a spider patiently waiting in its web. This creature will find a spot in your room and shift from one angle to another. The cracked closet door to the furthest corner in your room, to the edge of your bed, to the window just slightly obscured by the curtain. It's the perfect hunter. I was told that it takes this creature quite a while to find you, but if you're patient and you sit in utter darkness waiting for it, it will find you. I wasn't sure what to believe. I knew it was just a myth, but something in my head just wondered at the 1 in 1 billionth possibility that it was true. I guess I was just overthinking it, but my friend who was telling me this had a shaken look about him, and he told me either he was a very good actor or he really did have something messed up happen. He was looking over my shoulder at something off in the distance before telling me he had to go. I looked back and nothing was there, of course. It's been about a week since I last heard about this shadowy predator, and being a slight insomniac, I progressively stopped using lights in my room. The TV was off, the lamps, even the curtains were drawn. The only light was my computer. I would sit night after night, my headphones blocking out any noise. Occasionally, I would catch that random need to glance around. I just wanted to see what was there. There was no creature, no ominous feeling, just my dark TV, my desk, my closet wide open because I didn't care, and just no creature. I began to suspect my friend of having mental issues. His girlfriend did just break up with him. Or perhaps it was problems at his house. Well, I couldn't shake the emergency in his voice when he told me about the thing that watches. Eyes so black you can't see them in the shadows. Skin so charred and dark, almost like that coat on the wall. How it never attacks, it just waits. This predator watches you like a sniper hiding in a nearby building, watching you for days. It's only when you realize that it sees you is when you gain the feeling. A feeling of disgust. A feeling causing a faint shiver. One that makes you look at your darkened room again and again after you shut off the light. When is it going to attack? No one knows. Like I said, most of it was speculation. But there's something in my closet, and I don't know if I can make it to my door. What if it attacks? Thank you.
Out of all the cons we've done, I don't think anybody, like any crowd, has ever actually started stomping. Return to the pasta. That's good. Can you guys give me an option so I can maybe use this? You guys hear me fine? Okay. I'm sitting in you back there. Can you hear me okay? Yeah? That's one? Yeah? You hear me? Okay.
Walk down the center of the aisle.
That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be like right here. I'm going to be right here with you guys. Okay? So, here's the thing. In addition to doing Creepypasta stuff, and I'm just going to do a quick plug if you guys don't mind, I also do audiobooks. You guys have ever been like really into like audiobooks? One of these stories I did actually really struck me really hard because it took me back to what I always saw storytelling to be. Back when I was in elementary school, they actually had a storyteller come over and tell us this horror story. It actually really scared me. Like I couldn't sleep by myself as a kid for like 2 weeks because like it actually did terrify me. Because it went back to the way that storytelling is. Like he had that amazing voice and a way of telling a story that really kind of drew you in. And in one of these audiobooks I did called Right Behind You, it's by G.R. Wilson. If you guys want to check it out, I got the opportunity to do one of these stories, and I want to go ahead and do it for you guys right now. In 1800s Georgia, there lived a wealthy young woman in a grand plantation house. The woman's name was Annabelle Walters, and she inherited her fortune from her father, who made his money in cotton farming. Her father had been cruel to his slaves, but tender to his wife. In 1864, their baby, Annabelle, almost died in a fire set by William Sherman's soldiers on their march to the sea. Her mother saved her from death, but could not save her left arm. Her arm was so badly burned that it had to be amputated. The rest of Annabelle's body and her pretty face remained unscathed, but her father wanted the replacement for her arm to be just as beautiful and just as perfect as the rest of her. So, when Annabelle was a teenager, her father had an arm cast out of solid gold, and everyone marveled at how shiny and how lifelike Annabelle's new arm was, even though it was cold and artificial. Annabelle's mother died of fever not long after the casting of the golden arm. And a few years after that, her father died in a steamboat explosion. So, young Annabelle Walters lived by herself in her family's old mansion with only an old dog named Ranger to keep her company. Of course, many bachelors wanted to marry Miss Walters for her wealth. They talked of love and affection, but Annabelle was no fool and turned down many a scheming suitor. George was different. His father didn't come from wealth. He had been a self-made rancher out west. And most importantly, he truly loved Annabelle for who she was and not for her money. The two wed and shared several happy years together. Then, one dreary October, Annabelle fell sick with the same fever that killed her mother. The doctors, the best and most expensive doctors in all of the country, did all they could, but could not save her. So by mid-November, lovely Annabelle lay on her deathbed, her beloved George by her side. George, darling, before I pass, I have one last request to impart upon you, she said. Yes, my love, anything, whatever it is. My arm. My golden arm. It is my most precious possession, more important to me than the house or any of my jewelry. Please, bury me in the ground with my golden arm, said Annabelle. Yes, Annabelle, if that is your final wish, then I shall. Promise me, George. It is my final will upon this earth, she said. George gulped for replying. I promise to bury you with your golden arm, darling. Annabelle fell silent and was dead within a few minutes. George and a few of Annabelle's cousins were the only ones to attend her funeral. And she was buried in the Walters family cemetery down the road from the mansion in accordance with his wife's last wish. George buried Annabelle with her golden arm. Now, the night following the burial, George was sitting in front of the fireplace. Ranger the dog was asleep at his side. He thought about his future, his love life, his living arrangements. Then, he thought of his financial situation. Neither him nor, of course, Annabelle had worked a single day their entire marriage. The Walters family fortune had paid for all that they wanted. But that money, between the doctor's fees and Annabelle's lavish headstone, was nearly gone. George had become lazy and accustomed to the leisured life. If only he had another source of wealth. And then he remembered the golden arm. That arm was made of solid gold. It must be worth a small fortune itself, he thought. That it was already buried with its owner, as per her final request. But wouldn't Annabelle want him to be happy and not destitute? And hadn't she been a bit delirious towards the end, with that fever thrashing about her brain? Surely, George thought, the poor woman wasn't even thinking straight towards the end. And now, she was dead. and could not care whether she was buried with the golden arm or not. George made a decision. He put on his cloak. The air was chilled that November night, and he brought a lantern, for the sky and the road were dark as a cave. He creaked open the door of the tool shed and grabbed the shovel, the strongest looking one that he could find, and he would have 6 feet down to dig through cold, hard ground. The sky was filled with clouds. No moon nor stars greeted George on his solitary march to Annabelle's grave. The wind whispered through the grass and the naked branches like the voices of creatures best unseen. George hugged his cloak tightly around him and held his lantern high. Within his tiny circle of yellow light, the shadows danced. And George felt his heart quicken as he approached the cemetery. George found the right headstone and plunged his shovel into the hard earth. The work got harder with each shovelful of dirt, but George worked faster as the wind picked up, and he shivered, thinking of the fire back inside. Sooner than George expected, the shovel thudded against the wood. George cleared away the final layer of soil and opened the coffin. There lay Annabelle, as fair and as beautiful as she had been in the prime of her life, clasped across her chest. Her golden arm shimmered in the lantern light. Pushing aside flimsy thoughts of betrayal and robbery, George snatched the arm and slammed the coffin shut. The arm was cold as ice, and George set it beside him as he shoveled the dirt back on top of his wife. Then he scooped up the treasure and began the long walk back to the house. The wind grew stronger and stronger as he walked, gusting against his cloak and making the lantern sway in his hand. The wind whistled, and George thought that he heard a voice. Carried high and faint across the fields, he froze, eyes wide, glancing this way and then that. He saw no one. But with each step on the frosty ground, the wind's voice grew more distinct. Who's got my golden arm? George hurried his walk. The words followed him, louder and louder. Who's got my golden arm? The terrified man at the beast reached the mansion's door, which he flung open, slammed, and locked behind him. He ran to the parlor, where Ranger's ears perked up, and the friendly hound greeted its master. The fire was down to embers, but even that felt good against his cold hands. Then he heard the ghastly voice again. Who's got my golden arm? George couldn't place the sound source. It seemed to be coming from the chimney, the windows, the door, all at once. He clutched the heavy golden arm to himself and ran to the windows to shut the curtains, but still, the forlorn and angry cry continued. Who's got my golden arm? Ranger barked and growled at the east wall, the one facing the cemetery. The wind made the boards of the house creak and moan, and the windows rattled, and that voice went on louder than ever. Who's got my golden arm? A gust of wind came straight down the chimney and put out the embers, and George ran with that golden arm upstairs and down the hall to his bedroom, his heart thumping and his teeth chattering. Ranger's barks boomed and then were overpowered by the slam of the front door being thrown off its hinges. And the wind screamed through the house. Who's got my golden arm? George threw himself under the bedsheets, clutching that icy, cursed golden arm, and it felt heavy as iron. He could feel the wind slam open the bedroom door. And the wind stopped. There was silence, followed by slow, shuffling steps and tiny thuds of pieces of frozen ground falling to the floor. George held his breath and prayed silently as the ghastly footsteps stopped just next to his bed. Who's got my golden arm? You got it!
I'm not as loud usually. One more short one for this 1 hour wrap up. And then you guys are going to get to ask us some questions. Woo. Still no messages on my phone. I guess he wasn't going to call me back after all. Can't really blame him. Maybe I came on a bit too fast yesterday. I had noticed him long before he noticed me. His shiny black hair, his gorgeous blue eyes. I wasn't the only one watching it, that's for sure. His movements were elegant and boyish way. And his smile, oh, don't get me started on his smile. I would die for that smile. Still, no messages. I thought about calling him and maybe apologize for going too fast yesterday. I'm a coward, I know, but just couldn't bring myself to dial his number. Besides, he promised me he would contact me when he was ready. So I'll wait. I'm patient. I know. I'll just casually stroll by his house just to see if he's home. Maybe he's out. That would explain why he couldn't call me yet. He only lives a half an hour away anyway. Maybe he's shy and is here to call me. Silly boy. I'll go to him and I'll tell him that he doesn't have to be scared. That I don't mind if he needs time. He lives in a pretty secluded area in a farm on the outskirts of town. And I can hear the sheep in the stables as I approach. My heart skips when I see that there's lights burning inside. He must be there. He told me yesterday his parents would be gone for the weekend. They left him to look after the sheep for those days. Poor baby. That must be such hard work. He was probably just too busy to call me. I'll have to stay here until his parents come back and help him take care of all those sheep. I knock on the door, but he doesn't answer. Maybe he fell asleep. The thought of his beautiful face, even more softened by sleep, makes me smile. I try the door. It's unlocked. There's hardly any crime around here, so I guess locking the door is needed. I try to be as quiet as possible as I sneak through the house. I want to surprise him. I cringe at every creak the stairs make as I climb them. Finally, I reach the bedroom and I carefully open the door. There he is, lying in bed as I thought. Quietly, I switch on the nightlight, and on his desk, it illuminates so I can see his face. His blue eyes are open, staring into space. His whole face is one bloody mess. His cheeks have been carved, the skin mostly removed and hanging loose on the sides of his face. He's missing his fingernails. They're laid out on the bed, carefully arranged. On his bare chest, words are carved. I look at him, covering my mouth. He's still the same as I left him yesterday. He must have been so tired that he slept all day. How cute. I softly kiss his forehead, making sure that I don't wake him. And then I write another message below the one on his chest, letting him know I'm here when he needs me. I'll leave the room, heading back outside. I think it's time for the sheep to go to sleep. Tomorrow, I'll introduce myself to his parents. I'm sure they'll love me too. How I like Creepypasta Junior.
Is that what you're wearing now?
Yeah, it's not a good situation under there.
Duct tape fixes everything.
Duct tape is the king of the universe.
Beauties.
A lot of the cons, we were going to go into a Q&A in here because we don't really get a whole lot of chance. So if you guys have any kind of questions about creepypastas are, what we do, YouTube or anything like that, feel free to ask questions and we'll call you guys up. Call you out on exactly everything.
And you have to fight us.
Okay, so let's see if I show of hands. Question. I saw your hand go first.
If you could be any creepypasta character for one night, who would you be and what would you do? We'll go this way.
I needed time to think of something funny.
Okay, we'll go.
What was the question? I could be any creepypasta creature for one night, what I mean, whatever.
Yeah.
I would be Ben and I would play Zelda. Yeah.
He just doesn't want us to have any time to think of anything funny, does he? Oh, goodness me. I guess I would probably be... I don't know. What would be a fun creepypasta character to be for a night? They all have kind of like... That's fun to you? That's fun to you? Killing like babies? Like that's... It gets so bad. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna go with that. Laughing Jack would be pretty fun to be for a night. Again, not because I would get to kill children, because that's not really high on my list of like fun activities.
I eat candy.
I'm gonna be a clown, and clowns scare the living crap out of everybody constantly. So I guess that's...
I go along with Slenderman just because like he never needed to show up. I just imagine he's like in that other world with like cable TV. Hang out there, it's like I got proxies to do this. I'm fine.